Hello everyone, and my name is Jake, and welcome back to Federal Focus Week 24, I believe. Now, last week I wanted to address something. Yes, there was no audio to it. Unfortunately, I was just not able to re-record it, but I think you could still kind of make out what was happening in the video. But hopefully, this time the recording is in. There's a lot to talk about this week, mostly about elections, because frankly, that's what's been going on this week. So we're going to be talking about some UK election updates, a Morocco situation, which is not election, Max Miller, Wisconsin governor, Michigan Senate, the election in Maine, and another thing about file. But let's talk about stuff which isn't elections first. So, first thing we're going to talk about is what happened in Morocco and Spain, which is a very big story. So, first let's just go into some political geography. So, Morocco is on Africa, Spain is on Europe. I know, crazy thing to say, but Spain has multiple enclaves in Africa. One of these is the city of Ceuta. Now, most of them are just pieces of land they have, but this one's an actually important one. There's a lot of people that live there. The population is around 83,000. And because it's in African territory, there's not many disputes, but there's some people who are saying it should be Moroccan territory. It's not. It's Spanish territory. Okay, it just is. But in one day, a couple days ago, there were 60,000 illegal immigrants in one day. They were just pouring into the border. All right, there was nothing they could do about it, and it was ridiculous. They got around 40% of the population was just changed. Now, obviously, considering what's going on with illegal immigration in the U.S., this was a big topic over here. I'm sorry. But obviously, when you have 60,000 people arriving into a place with 80,000 people, it's going to create some problems. And there was nearly 100 deaths there. So, obviously, this created a lot of controversy among the Spanish PM because he recently made around 1 million undocumented slash illegal immigrants into citizens of the country, which, believe it or not, was not very popular over there. And so his approvals aren't very good. They just got a bit worse recently. But this was a huge problem because they were killing people, they were destroying the places. I don't mean to be racist, but it's totally what was happening there. And now, surprisingly, the Spanish PM really didn't have a choice. So he forced the people out. I don't mean like force them. Most of them were actually just people just walking out because, frankly, there was nothing they really could do over there. I think they were trying to get into the enclave to go to Spain, but that's just not how it was going to work over there. So most of them have actually returned, but despite that, this just shows a big problem with illegal immigration and how obviously you do not want it. And there's also made Trump try to correlate this to the Joe Biden presidency. Who knows if it'll be successful, but it was ridiculous because it was in around a couple hours. There were 60,000 people coming over. Now, God knows where, how, God knows why they came over. Okay, well, but apparently it's because there was tensions between Morocco and Spain, so they brought the people over there to try to take it over. It didn't work, but it just shows big problems with how it could work. And so the second thing, Fauci had a recent. This doesn't really matter, but he had a recent congressional appearance, and he pleaded the fifth around 150 times. So, probably not a great look for him. I'm not gonna comment on him. I don't think he's like I don't know. I don't really have many big opinions of him. I thought it was really just funny though, because he just pled it 150 times. Now, the Fifth Amendment is very important, obviously, but wouldn't it just make you look more guilty in some circumstances? Because he pled it literally every single question. He didn't answer anything. So, I don't know what he was doing there, but it was a completely useless trial, not trial, hearing. It accomplished absolutely nothing. Waste of Congress's time, although they don't do much anyway, so, you know, it's not really interfering with their normal work because their work is absolutely useless. And now let's move on to elections, which were much more fun recently. Now, there isn't an election in the UK. We all know that Burnham was elected as PM. Well, he wasn't elected. He was elected by the Labour Party as PM, and he recently took over. And there has been something which has happened recently where there has a Burnham bounce. Basically, the Labour's poll numbers have increased substantially, and they are now leading in basically every poll. Where previously, as you can see here, Reform won every single poll from 2025 to 2026 for around a year and a half. So we will have to see if time will make this last. If he becomes unpopular again, their numbers will go down again, but it will really all just depend on how they view him, because a lot of these people are just coming over from reform, because unlike in the US, there is a lot of variance. Like, people can just jump over from labor to reform. Like, I don't think you're going to be many people jumping from Bernie Sanders to Trump, but over here they would. So, it's going to have to be interesting to see. But Burnham's approvals are obviously much better than Starmer. He is currently positive, which is absolutely unthinkable for a prime minister after Starmer. I will show that in the approvals over here. Now, he has actually done different policy than Starmer. Basically, he just hasn't been an absolute idiot and is actually doing things which he's doing left-leaning policy, obviously, but he's not doing stupid things. He doesn't want to do national ID, online ID, which obviously is going to help him, because believe it or not, it wasn't very popular. But you can see his approval ratings around +10 right now. Now, it is worth to be noted, obviously important to note that Starmer's was also very popular in the beginning, because they always are. So this isn't to be discredited, but we'll have to just see if it lasts, because this was pretty. I was expecting this. I think most people were expecting this, but we'll just have to see if it lasts. I think if he becomes unpopular again, their numbers may get worse than Starmer, because they may prove to them that no one can fix this. And this isn't anything to do with polls or election or anything. I thought this was just kind of funny. Now, obviously, the polling numbers are looking very strong for Democrats, but one thing that is not looking strong for them is their national headquarters and their national party, because candidates, for example, in Maine, Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, have been raising humongous sums of money. They have been destroying the records. But no one wants to donate to the actual party, because they are voting, because they are very dissatisfied with how the party is led, but they want progressive people. So they're donating to the progressives, but they're not donating to the actual party. So you have candidates who have $20 million, and the party is legitimately negative um in debt. They are in debt. They have zero money. They have less than zero. They have nothing. So I was just thinking, will people have to donate millions of dollars to the actual party to keep them afloat? Because they have to literally put their headquarters on a loan because of how bad it is. So I'm hearing their DNC chair is not doing so well. He probably will have to leave, because he's not in a great spot right now. But the Democrats sure are. And on to Max Miller. Now, he's up for re-election, obviously, as all House members are. But let's just say there are allegations which may just be worse than Plattner. Basically, he is a massive abuser. He's a horrible person. Now, he's still in a spot where he would run for re-election. There's a couple days left for him to drop out. He said that he's not going to drop out. He is an absolute liar. You say he didn't do it. He obviously did. And even if he didn't do it, just drop out. Okay? No one wants you here. I'm not going to go in depth again over what happened, but let's just say that he threw boiling water at his wife, and he broke his daughter's collarbone. So if that doesn't say enough, I don't know what to tell you. But he's basically in a swing district. He will 1,000% lose. He's a megalomaniac, narcissistic man, and he needs to go. And we're going to be talking about a lot of primaries. So we're going to be talking about Wisconsin and Michigan, because their primaries are soon. Wisconsin's August 11th, and Michigan's is actually 2 days from now. Now, I'm going to talk about Michigan because that one's first. This one's a Senate election, which it's very funny to me how Texas is in play, and so is Michigan. Like, if you told me before that Michigan was in play, I would have thought Texas is definitely not in play. But it's just because there's so many swing states this election. There's Iowa, Ohio, Maine, Alaska, Michigan, Texas, Nebraska, maybe New Hampshire, probably not, but we'll have to see. North Carolina and Georgia, I know I've seen people trying to say that they're going to become Republican. They will vote for their candidates by like 10 points at least, so Democrats will easily win that. But in this one, this is a classic progressive versus moderate, or at least just establishment. Now, there was McMurrow, who was running in the middle of them, but as it went along, it got nationalized, and that's just not going to cut it in this. So you either vote all the way to the left or not all the way to the left. Abdul is the progressive one in this case. He is endorsed by Bernie Sanders and a lot of the left. And Mallory is, no, that's the wrong person, I'm sorry. Haley is the moderate in this case. Now, Haley, she is just, I'm not trying to be rude, she's just an interesting, weird person. Like, I'm not saying that in a bad way, but she talks like she's from Georgia. She's from Michigan, so I don't know what's going on here. But in the polls recently, after McMurrow dropped out, Stebbins got a bump, but Abdul seems destined to win this by double digits. And what's interesting about that is because he's actually losing the polls by a couple points, even in this blue wave. So we'll have to see if his progressive policies will still not popular enough to win him, or will the blue wave just be big enough, or will the national environment just be big enough to push him over the edge? Because I think he will go behind. He's obviously going to do much worse than Gretchen Whitmer because he's not going to get a lot of moderates on the side. But it remains to be seen how he will do. But I do believe that this is probably going to be one of the closest elections in the country. This may be the tipping point. So it's not impossible for the Republicans to lose Texas and win Michigan. Now, it's obviously not probable, but it's not technically impossible, which is just very funny to me. And onto a governor election, which, I gotta be honest, way less interesting than a Senate election. But in this one, we have, it's Francesca Hong versus David Crowley. Now, he recently, he actually withdrew, I'm sorry. Let me just go to the polls for a second, I just to get something, yeah. So, Barnes withdrew from the race. Crowley recently, he previously dropped out, and he recently came back in because the establishment, or just the normal Democrats, are very worried about Hong because, quite frankly, she is probably the most left-wing person on the ballot this year. For example, she legitimately had 666 on her hat, which is probably not a great look. But, obviously, the polling for her in the primary is looking pretty good. She's probably going to win by 20 points now. This was only a recent phenomenon. For a long time, she just wasn't winning the race. But recently, there's been a huge swing towards her. So, we'll have to see how this goes. I think if she wins the primary, it's probably Tiffany who will be the favorite. But this is, again, another swing state. We will just have to see. And lastly, but not least, in Maine, there has been absolutely nothing. So, I have no idea why I put this here. Well, actually, there has been a poll by them which shows Troy Jackson up by 3, but surprisingly, there has been a lack of polling here, which has kind of been a theme so far. In the last month, there really hasn't been that many Senate election polls. There's been a lot of general ballot polls, but generic ballot polls are actually pretty useless because there's a lot of candidate variety. Obviously, it's less than it was, for example, 20 years ago, when there could be a split ticket vote and George Bush could win by like 50 points in Alabama, and there could be a Democrat governor win by 30 because they're both conservative. But it has been annoying. But that's going to be all for today. I know this is a long video, but there was a lot to talk about. Thank you guys for watching. Let's go Yankees. They just got Luis Garcia. And goodbye.